Hello and welcome to Fire in the Belly. Today we have myself, Mighty Pete, and we're joined by Mr. John Donnelly. Good afternoon.
Hi Pete, how you doing?
Brilliant, thanks. Brilliant. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate that. So, John, tell us, who are you? What do you do?
Good. So John Donnelly, I just set up a new business, Pete, called Your Holistic Academy, and it's a support platform for holistic service providers. Very exciting business venture, and yeah, that's what I'm at the moment, yeah.
Brilliant. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. So, your Holistic Academy, it's that's
Yeah,
open
that's
and live
yeah.
now, is it? Yeah.
It's just yeah, we set it up about 4 months ago. I've got a team of people working with me. We set it up as a support platform for the holistic world, and we've got business supports for. Basically, there's a gap, I think, for it's sort of an opportunity for holistic practitioners can be quite isolated sometimes. They do a brilliant job. Um, they do all sorts of healing work and helping people. They're basically helping people, really. That's the nature of their work generally, healing people or helping people with their emotional well-being or their physical health, or so holistic health basically. But they can be quite sometimes can be quite isolated in terms of when it comes to actually developing business. Where's all the business expertise when they need it? And they've put so much time and effort into developing their skills in the holistic world, but they may not necessarily have developed the business skills that they need to develop their businesses. So I saw an opportunity to develop the support platform, bring the business skills together with the holistic people, and have a collaboration between both, because obviously the business community needs the holistic world as well. Because I mean, in terms of health and wellness for employees, for example, any corporation would obviously love to have a healthy, happy employees, which would be much more productive than unhealthy, unhappy employees. So the business world, I feel, needs the holistic world as well. So it seemed like an obvious solution to bring the two together on one platform.
It makes sense. Yeah. I mean, to how, as you say, that like a lot of things, people can be good at their trade, but not necessarily, they struggle to keep up on the business side or marketing or vice versa, So it sounds,
Yeah,
as you say, it's a
yeah.
wonderfully simple concept.
Yeah, I mean, people obviously expertise. I mean, if you're a tennis player or a golf player or an elite sports person, for example, you focus on one area and you give. I mean, you give your everything to that one discipline, that one sport. But then you surround yourself. The top guys will obviously surround themselves and with a team of professionals in other fields. So, I mean, your tennis player will they'll have a physical coach, they'll have a mental coach, they'll have a psychological coach, they'll have business managers, they'll have sponsorship managers, they'll have all of that, and it allows them to focus on what they need to do, which is play good tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So similar to the holistic therapist, if the holistic therapist wants to provide a brilliant service to help you with your health and your wellness, they need to focus on that. They need to give all their attention to that. So why not surround yourself with all the other support you need?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, I mean, define for anyone that's not sure, holistic. How would you define, and what does that capture? The
Okay, so
term holistic.
for me, holistic is all levels of your being. So I would classify it as physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic. All those layers to your existence, if you like. So on the physical level, obviously the exercise, your diet and nutrition. On the mental level, how you think, what's your program, what program you're operating from, what's your conditioning. What sort of environment are you in? Who do you listen to? Do you listen to all the 6 o'clock news every evening and get all the bad news? Or do you read a good positive thinking book and get some good news? The emotional layer then is, how do you feel about life? Is there gaps in your emotions? Or is there strong emotions driving you forward? Spiritual level, I mean, why are we here? What's our purpose? What's your meaning? What drives you? Is there a spirit? What you believe in? And then energetically, it's all the different layers interacting with each other, right through all the different layers. This is the energetic level. Yeah.
Makes a lot
So
of sense.
yeah, yeah,
Thanks for sharing that.
yeah.
So tell me, John, what does fire in the belly mean to you?
Well, it's back to the energetic. I mean, it's the belly. That's one of the energy centers of your body, and it's that energy center is about your drive, about your willpower, about your passion, if you like. So I guess for me, it's the passion, your commitment, your passion, your drive. What drives you? What motivates you? I guess that's what it means for me, Pete. Yeah.
Sure. And when you say commitment, talk to me about that.
Commitment. Well, commitment is I guess it's is an energy of you want to do something. You want to make a contribution. You want to be successful in life. You have a passion for something. You've figured out that you're good at something, and you want to be better at it. So your desire, if you like, what drives you, what motivates you, what's your passion. So that's everybody's obviously a different level of desire, different level of energy, different level of commitment, and all sorts of different motivating factors. Yeah.
Brilliant. Love it. Thank you. So tell us, John, I mean, take us right back. You know, where are you from originally then? Talk to us about your upbringing.
I'm a good northern man, Pete, from Armagh. So I started out in the County Armagh in the Orchard County, and my father actually had a lot of orchards. So I grew up on a farm, and we had a lot of orchards. Grew up in the countryside. It was great, fantastic freedom. We had our own football pitch up beside the house. At 6 brothers and 2 sisters, we had a great time, great childhood, great freedom. Loved life as a kid. You know, it was great.
So that's a big family.
Yeah, 9 of us. Yeah. Well, back in those days, Pete, I'm, you know, nowadays the modern family is 2 or 3. Back in those days, my neighbors up the road, I think it was 13 in one of the families, and it was
holy smokes,
15 in another family. So it was quite common back then.
I've got 3 and I'm nearly driven mad myself. So unless after a while they actually start to self-sustain, you know, the older one looks after the younger ones. Maybe that happens. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was quite interesting. I mean, it can be challenging as well, but there's plenty of fights. But it was quite exciting having all those brothers and sisters. I was the second youngest, so I was well looked after. So I was quite spoiled really as a kid, you know.
Very good.
Yeah.
So how was, you know, if we met you as a young fella, how would we have met?
Yeah, I was quite happy in life, and had a lot of fun. Enjoyed sport. School was pretty good. I was quite sort of happy in school most of the time. Enjoyed a lot of sport. Enjoyed a lot of freedom, as I say, in the countryside. Basically enjoyed life. Was quite life was good back then. Did well in school. Went on to university. Went on to trained in accountancy, became an accountant. Well, I almost became an accountant, but I was it was pretty good. I mean, played a lot of sport, had good friends, had good fun, enjoyed life. That was me back then. Yeah.
What was your sport then? You go to?
Gaelic football, actually. Yeah, Gaelic football. Yeah.
What age are you now, John, if you don't mind me asking?
I would have been 63, I think, my last birthday, or something like that. I started losing count almost, because, but I think around about that, 63, yeah.
So I can't do the math. 57, is that right? No.
1957 was the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So the GAA, was all your other brothers and sisters into the football as well?
Yeah, quite a good few of them. I think I was when I joined my local football team. I think there was already 3 of my older brothers playing on the same team. So I come onto the team, and there was 4 of us on the same team at one stage. So that was quite. We could pass the ball to each other, like. But yeah, so there was good. And my father always, he drove me to all the matches, and he loved the football. He was the chairman of the local club and that sort of thing. So it was great grounding in Gaelic football, yeah. And I mean, that time, that was the sort of center of life in a small community.
Yeah.
It was where I came from. That was it. There was basically a Gaelic football club, and there wasn't much else really.
I
So
suppose with a farming community too. I mean, it is all, there is a much stronger community.
yeah, yeah, and I mean that's where you met everybody. That's where all your friends were. That's where all your schoolmates ended up as well. Practically the whole the local town to me was probably about 500 people lived in that village, if you like,
Mm.
and practically all of them were into Gaelic football. There was, that was it. Like that was the community. That was so you had the local pub and you had the football pitch and the football field, and that was about it. That was there wasn't much else going on.
So the parents try to keep you out of the pub as long as possible and running around the pitch.
Well, the great thing about sport was when you made a commitment to sport, you sort of tended to try and keep fit, and so obviously I made a commitment to sport, so I tried to keep fit. So I stayed away from the pub. Really, I didn't really. So lucky enough, and my family, we weren't really a pub. It wasn't really a pub going family, if you like. So it was fortunate that way.
Into your music or anything, were you?
No, not so much. Not so much music in the family. No, it's more. Yeah, sport was probably the big talking point in the family. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what's the spread across the brothers and sisters then?
What do you mean, Pete?
Just in years, from
Yeah,
top to
so
bottom.
I was the second youngest. So so yeah, so there was a year and a half, 2 years sort of between us, and I was the second youngest. So yeah. Yeah, it was a great environment growing up. It's a very sort of nurturing environment. So there's a lot of love in the family and comradeship with my brothers and sisters, and yeah, it was great. Yeah.
So when you were young, did you have a job or anything, John, or what were you?
Yeah, I mean, we would have, when we come home from school, we worked on the farm. There was a lot of orchards, there was some cattle and that, so there would have been always jobs, plenty of jobs. The orchards, there was always loads of work around that. Even most times of the year, there was always something needed to be done. There was always work on the farm, and then in later years, then my eldest brother set up a sort of nursery garden center, and growing trees and shrubs, and there was fruit and vegetables, and there was all sorts of things going on. So there was always work around the farm, and so yeah, I was never idle, and you were expected to pull your weight. So there was always plenty of work. Yeah.
I was going to say, because I mean, picking apples and all the maintenance that goes with that, that's hard work too.
Yeah, there was lots of work, and it was strong physical work as well. So it was healthy. It was very healthy lifestyle, Pete. Very healthy lifestyle. So yeah, and that worked well, because when it comes to you're physically strong, physically feeling good, healthy, it helps in every area, obviously. Yeah. So that was good. Yeah.
And do you like apples?
My mother made some great apple tarts, so yeah. But yeah, I actually do actually. Yeah.
I wasn't sure whether, like a lot of people, they just get sick to the back teeth of apples or whatever,
Well, I actually enjoyed it, and I was pretty good at climbing trees, so it was good. It was good healthy lifestyle, which was that was the important thing for me,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in school then, what was floating you about in school? What were your go-to subjects?
Sort of enjoyed it. I mean, sort of was pretty okay, pretty okay at most. I was more into enjoying life really, and not too academic. I sort of did okay in school, but I never really excelled or anything like that. I just sort of was happy enough to get by. and to enjoy it. And I guess the football was probably more interest in terms of than the actual homework. But I did okay. I did okay. It was nothing sort of average, nothing too exceptional. But I got by and I got through. Like so,
Yeah.
happy enough. Yeah.
So you mentioned then going off to university. Where did you go?
Yeah, I went to Queen's in Belfast, and that was a real party time. Like I mean, the Gaelic Club in Queen's was like a non-stop party. It was, I mean, you were introduced to real characters from all over. I mean, mostly from the north of Ireland, but all over the north of Ireland, and real characters who loved life. And there was a great culture, great sort of drinking culture in the club, in the Gaelic Club, and it was party time. The At the time, it was like there wasn't never too much pressure from. Never seemed to be too much pressure from exams. Now, like the university life was like, I mean, you're away from home for the first time, and you let your hair down and you party, and we partied, and I fell in with a group of people in the Gaelic Club in Queens who loved to party. So it was great. It was a great time, and we got the work done eventually, and we got through the exams and stuff as well. But I mean, it was a great time, and I met some great people, and we had a lot of fun, and it was a brilliant time. Yeah, so happy memories, Pete.
Yeah.
Belfast at the time was a little bit dangerous because, like, it was back in the 70s when the height of the Troubles, and there was bombs. Every night on the news you'd be hearing if somebody had been shot or a bomb going off somewhere. But the university area was actually probably one of the areas which was quite safe. People sort of mixed and mingled, and it was. But like literally, I lived at one stage. I lived in a place called the Holy Land in down near the university. I don't know if you know it or not. You know Belfast?
Yeah, I know the area.
Yeah, and but literally, like I mean, 1,000 yards across the street, like you were into dangerous territory. Like, and there was people being killed and bombs going off and all sorts of stuff going on. So, like Belfast was one of those places at the time where you had to be very careful where you go. And like there was parts of Belfast that I'd never seen. I wouldn't have seen. I wouldn't have even wouldn't have dared to venture into parts of Belfast at the time because it was just far too dangerous. And you sort of, I guess you people around the university area looked out for each other, and there's a whole different cultural mix in the university, and people sort of watched out for each other, and you were sort of guided as to where not to go and where to go, but it was quite dangerous at times, and but we still managed to party.
So you were in there with accountancy. That was your.
I did an economics degree first, and then I went and worked in the accountancy, and I started to do accountancy exams and did a diploma in accountancy, and started doing accountancy exams, and I got to the point then where exams just weren't my thing anymore. I started to fail I failed a couple of the exams and final exams in accountancy. And the second time around, I did worse than the first time. I thought to myself, maybe this is not for me. So I actually left it then and went off and did something completely different. And ended up in business for myself and going into actually the landscaping world with my brother, which was completely different. But it was like, for me, it was like a freedom almost, like from the office confines that didn't seem to appeal to me anymore. So
you went in for economics. Where did that come from to begin with? Or where was that?
I think I was mathematics probably was one of my favorite subjects in school. So it seemed to be the sort of logical choice, if you like.
Sure.
There was no other motivation really. I think that was the only. I mean, when you're 17 or 18 years of age, I think most 18-year-olds don't really know what they want to do in life.
Well, no, I didn't. I mean,
I was no exception. I hadn't got a clue really. I was just like I was good at mathematics, and it seemed like a logical sort of choice, and economics, it was easy enough to get into economics, and I hadn't got fantastic grades in school, so it was sort of a logical sort of a choice, but there was no motivation in terms of where I'm going to go with, what you're going to do with your life, like at that time. And the guidance, career guidance at that time in school, it wasn't really, I don't think we actually had a career guidance kind of teacher at that time. So it was pretty much you were just left your own devices as to what you might do. And so yeah, it was sort of almost by default, like I'd ended up in that profession, you know.
So tell us, I mean, there's always a routine, as a student. What was the routine for going out? Was there certain venues, certain places that were?
Yeah, I mean, it was like for me, it was the Gaelic Club was the center of life in terms of, and you just surrounded yourself with a group of guys who were just enjoyed life, and the pub and the nightclubs, the local nightclubs, or the university discos and stuff like that. Because of the troubles, you didn't venture too far, so you basically everything was sort of centered around the university itself and the student union and the discos there and the pub there, and that was really it. And you sort of just we just partied with a group of people. We didn't really mingle into the greater society in Belfast. We just sort of, it was too dangerous to venture out of that area really. So we just mingled with each other in the university and had a good time. Yeah.
And so you've done your economics degree, then you're out for the accountancy, and then you realized like this is not right for you.
Yeah, it just, I mean, I got to the point where like I wasn't, I guess I wasn't committed. I wasn't focused on the exams. I was more focused on having a good time. Life was fun. I was enjoying life. And at that stage, then I actually moved to Dublin then because I met, who's now my wife, Teresa. I met Teresa in Dublin. I was actually on a weekend in Dublin, and I met Teresa, who was from Dublin, and fell in love, of course, on the very first night. And about a year and a half later, after traveling up and down from Belfast to Dublin most weekends on the train, I went and looked for a job in Dublin, and ended up working in Dublin. And I got a job in an accountant's office in Dublin, but I guess I was enjoying life too much. I was partying too much. I was, I wasn't really focused on my career, and the exams then were sort of always shoved into second place, and so then I just started failing exams. And at that stage, I said, well, I'm not really committed to this. I'm not really, so maybe there's something else I should be doing. So just sort of nothing, it's just a combination of things happened, just events happened, and so I said, right, okay, let's go do something else, and I went back to family, and said, give me a job on the nursery or the garden centre, and let's see what I can make of that,
Yeah. So what sort of nursery was it? Or
so my eldest brother was a landscape gardener, and so he a nursery where he grew trees and shrubs, mostly trees and well, a lot of shrubs as well, but mostly trees that he grew on the nursery. And then he had a garden centre where he sold trees and shrubs, and then he had a landscaping business where he would go out and he would landscape your garden for you as well. So it was a whole combination of all around that area. I was very healthy. Again, I really enjoyed it. I'm back working in the nursery, and again, good, strong, healthy lifestyle, outdoor, freedom from offices, freedom from traffic, freedom from all that stuff, and it was great. Yeah, I loved it. And that inspired me then to set up my own landscaping business. And that was my first business. I guess that was my first business venture, where I says, yeah, it's time for me to set out my own and do my own thing. And that was the first of many where I said, yeah, I can do this. But then in reality, I really couldn't do it because I just didn't have enough expertise. But you try, you just try. And see how it works out, and if it doesn't work out, then you try something else. That was my frame of mind at the time, Pete. I was just sort of willing to try it. I says, what have I got to lose? You know, I was young, I was healthy, I was ambitious, I was motivated. I didn't necessarily know what I was doing, but I was going to give it a go. And that's what I did, and set out on my own journey with my own business, and didn't get too far. Got to the stage where I ran out of money. So let's go try something else. So that was the first of a series of business ventures at the time, and none of them worked out too well at the time. So, but it was great learning curve. Great learning curve to be.
Absolutely.
Be in business for yourself, yeah.
Well, what was it about being in business with yourself that?
I guess it was the sort of adventure, if you like, the sort of adventure and the sort of feeling that you could do something for yourself and that you could be independent. You know, I was the second youngest of all my brothers. Most of my brothers actually had gone into a couple. Well, they'd gone into different business ventures themselves, and my family were sort of there was sort of business mentality there in the family, and I was sort of second youngest. And I said, well, you know, all the brothers and sisters were making a go of things. Especially my two older brothers had developed quite successful businesses at that stage, and I thought, yeah, sure, I can do that too, you know. And there was a sense of adventure. There's a sense of feeling of, yeah, why not give it a go? It's good to be your own boss. And I guess I was a little bit stubborn as well. I probably didn't like taking orders from anybody. A couple of the jobs that I worked in, I had a sort of, I would have a feeling that, yeah, I can do this. And if the boss says, no, you're not doing a great job, I said, fine, okay, just sack me or whatever. And I was it was sort of like that. It was like, you know, it was like I had that sort of, I guess, that stubbornness that I didn't really want to take orders from somebody else. And I felt that I could do things. And it was, I guess it was a stubbornness that I had, and maybe a sense of ambition that I had as well to do something for myself. So yeah, and a sense of adventure as well.
I mean, obviously you weren't slow at getting up and giving things a go. I mean, where did that come from?
I would jump in head first. I would literally jump in head first, and sometimes that's not always the right way, but sometimes it works out because you give something a go, it doesn't work, and then you end up doing something else, and suddenly you combine all the experiences and you reflect back and you think, thank God for all those experiences, because now I know how not to do it, and I've learned something. And I'll apply that to the next time, and I'll figure it out eventually. And when I look back on it, I think, thank God for all those experiences, because if you didn't have them, you'd be lesser off in terms of, you would be thinking, you'd be reluctant maybe, you know, once you get older, you'd probably be more reluctant to try things. But once you've tried so many things when you're younger, then you think, yeah, why not? Let's give it another go.
That's great. I mean, so landscaping, what was after landscaping then?
Oh, yeah, I then dabbled in a thing called network marketing, which I'm sure you know about. And the lure of riches, Pete, and the promise of riches was enticed me, you know. And I got into network marketing, and really was that was the sort of my introduction to personal development and positive thinking books. And I think the first book I read was called The Magic of Thinking Big. And then, of course, Think and Grow Rich, which is a classic in the positive thinking. And all those books sort of came with the territory, if you like, in terms of when you got involved in network marketing, multi-level marketing. And those were, that was a sort of fascination for me, was the whole psychology of success and positive thinking and, you know, success through a positive mental attitude and all that stuff. That was a whole fascination for me. And that was the start of a completely different journey for me in terms of the power of the mind and psychology and the subconscious and the conscious and all that stuff. It was like I was just fascinated by the whole thing, and the network marketing itself was like, that sort of didn't work out for me, but the positive thinking was working in other ways, and it was sort of, it was leading me on to new adventures and new opportunities and new experiences, because suddenly I realized, yeah, I mean, I actually do have a mind that I can sort of have some sort of control over, and yeah, so that was the sort of start of a whole new journey, if you like, back then. So I stayed involved in that for about 10 years, never made any money, but had a great time as well, and I learned a lot, and brought me to another level in terms of the mind and the power of the mind, and I got fascinated with the whole personal development journey back then. And I stayed on that. I just never left that journey, really. I just continued to read and study, and yeah, so that was a great experience.
I mean, you're well ahead of your time, because I mean, that's, now they're quite common as well,
Yeah,
depending on your circles.
30 years ago, it was like, yeah, but I mean, yeah, it was in the network. I mean, it came from America, obviously. The network I was involved in started off in America, and they were quite advanced, I guess, in terms of the whole psychology of sales and the psychology of business. So yeah, it probably wasn't common outside of the networking industry. It wasn't probably that common that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, it was quite powerful. I met a lot of inspiring characters along the way, and a couple of sort of chancers as well, who probably would sell you anything and convince you of anything. And wouldn't necessarily believe it themselves, but they convince you,
Yeah.
Well,
that's part of the process.
Part of the whole process, Pete. Yeah.
So through that sort of 10 years of development then, so you were really just finding your feet there, trying to find your style or something, were you?
Yeah, and in the meantime, I was actually it's actually costing me money, and it became quite stressful then eventually, because what actually happened was I made a huge commitment to it at the time, because I actually really believed in what I was doing, believed in the whole concept, and believed in the whole idea, but I actually wasn't doing it properly. I wasn't. I don't know. Didn't see myself as a good salesman at the time, and I wasn't actually much good at selling, to be honest. I was enjoying the whole atmosphere and the whole environment, but I actually wasn't getting much results. And then, I mean, it's a real life situation. Suddenly you run out of money, and suddenly you're in debt, and the bank is coming looking for their money, and I ended up basically losing everything I had, if you like. I was sort of a bit reckless, if you like. And maybe at the time I felt that I wasn't really getting the best advice I should be getting. I wasn't really progressing. I was progressing in personal development, yeah, of course, but I wasn't really progressing, and certainly wasn't progressing financially, and was putting myself under far too much pressure. I was a bit naive, maybe a bit reckless or whatever, and then it just ended up costing me practically everything. So it became quite stressful then. I lost my house at the time. I ended up in debt. The bank took me to court. And all of that was quite stressful, very stressful, in fact.
Sure.
Yeah. So, but it was a great learning experience. But quite stressful. Yeah. So,
looking back now, what would you do different, or what's?
I would be probably more cautious, more sort of careful. But at the time, I was sort of, I guess I believed in what I was doing until the point where I didn't believe. And then it's at that stage when you suddenly think, like I've gone down into a hole here, if you like, that I've dug for myself. So on reflection, it was like a great learning experience, but it was also a bit reckless and a bit naive. And yeah, so you obviously do things different, but then again, if you didn't have the experience, if you maybe didn't have the same learnings, so it's hard to know. It's hard to know. Like looking back on it, I think yeah, it's something that I needed to do to grow and to learn and to change my life and to become more cautious and become less reckless and to grow up a bit.
So what was your main go-to then? You mentioned Bob Proctor there.
No, the Magic of Thinking Big and Think and Grow Rich, all the positive thinking books of the time, and I
Right.
would have gone to seminars and stuff around the whole concept of multi-level marketing. There was a lot of inspiring people who had a lot of success stories, and you sort of get drawn into other people's stories, and it's not necessarily your story, but you do get drawn into other people's stories, and you obviously develop certain beliefs around all of that until the point where you come to say, well, this is not actually working.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something more. And again, I mean, my belief now would be that positive thinking will get you a certain length of the way, but there's always got to be something more. It's not just about positive thinking.
Yeah, got to take action too.
Yeah, and the right kind of action. Something that works for you. I mean, obviously, that whole industry is a lot of successful people, very successful people in that industry, but there's also a lot of people that never make it either, and end up getting frustrated and disappointed as well. So there's no right and wrong about it. It's like it's right for some people, it's not right for others. And at the time, it just wasn't right for me. But there was great learnings as well, and a great.
I mean, to lose your house and everything else, it's pretty full on.
Quite stressful, yeah. Quite stressful, yeah.
Yeah, so you've gone through all this, was losing your house a pretty low time for you?
Yeah, I mean, what happened then was I ended up getting a job and working in low level, sort of low paying jobs, and just to survive. You got to a point where you have to survive, and you put the ambitions and all the sort of dreams and that to one side, if you like, and say, right, I just got to survive now. I've lost everything. I got to start again. You got to survive, and I managed to dig out a living and get myself back on my feet eventually, and I managed to survive and stay. I mean, I guess my wife Teresa probably could have left at that stage and said, "Listen, this guy's a bit of a loser," but she didn't. She believed in me, and with 2 kids, and they believed in me. So I had people around me that believed in me. I didn't believe in myself at that stage. I really didn't, But I had people around me who believed in me. So that was my saving grace, if you like, was my family. And I managed to survive, and I put my head down and worked really, really hard. I ended up getting into the taxi business and working 60, 70, 80 hours a week sometimes, 7 days a week, just to survive and just to try and get myself back on my feet. And you become a workaholic almost, and you put everything else aside, and you just work just to survive and get going again. And then that sort of takes a toll on your health, and the stress levels were far too high. Then your health starts to give way, and so that was sort of a combination of things that, I mean, the whole holistic journey started back, I guess, 20 years ago, when I started to look for, I started to think about, reflect about health and well-being, and got interested in the whole area of health and well-being, and ended up becoming a therapist in bioenergy, which was a holistic practice that I trained in at the time. And that got me totally interested in the whole area of energy and health and wellness and holistic health and holistic wellness. And that journey started, I guess, about 20 years ago. So that was a whole new beginning, if you like, back then, which brings me to where I am today, which is the whole area of energetic health and wellness. So that journey was, it was like, I guess I was very stressed, physically very stressed in my work, but I was getting a greater understanding of health and how to stay in some sort of reasonable health, and how to try and take care of myself a bit better. But the stress levels were too high. And I suffered. I suffered because of that. And but I managed to survive. But I became more and more interested in the whole area of health and the whole area of holistic health and what that meant. And I went on a sort of a journey, like what I would call a spiritual journey almost. I got interested in sort of more deeper philosophical areas of life and meaning of life and purpose of life, and that led me to where I am today. And I guess almost 2 years ago now, I went on a retreat, a spiritual retreat, and that was like a major turning point, massive turning point for me, because I guess I began to understand the whole holistic space, if you like, and what it really meant, and what it really meant for me personally. And I got a sort of a transformation of energy, if you like. And that reignited the whole passion, because the passion had sort of almost disappeared. When you're living in stress for so many years, and you're basically in survival mode for so many years, you're sort of like, how do I get out of this? I mean, you're stuck in it. You know, I mean, you're sort of stuck, and your ambitions and your passion for life and your enjoyment of life is limited, and there's so many limiting factors that it's like you get into that sort of, I don't know, you get into that sort of place in life where, well, let's be comfortable, but let's not be too ambitious. But the spiritual retreat was like just a complete shift. Then it was like I reignited. You talked about fire in the belly earlier. I mean, the fire in the belly was completely reignited in the space of 1 week. My whole energy just shifted in the space of 1 week, and suddenly I had this realization that, hey, I'm not stuck anymore. I'm actually I can do something about this, and I can transform this whole situation. And I come back from that retreat a different person, really, a different person. And I set out then on a completely new journey. And that was only a year and 10 months ago. And I just set out a completely different. I came back as a completely different person. It says, I don't have to accept this stress anymore. I know what to do about it now. I can do something about it. I've got the tools. I've got the motivation. I've got the passion back. I've got the joy back, the enthusiasm back, and I had it all back. And I says, right, let's go again. Let's start again. And that's where we end up with Your Holistic Academy. That's where that all came from.
I'm just curious. I mean, with the, with, I suppose on the finance side, I mean, did you have to go through the full bankruptcy, or?
No, I worked. It was small enough. It wasn't a huge amount. It was a small enough amount at the time, and I made an agreement. I said to the judge, I don't have much money. I can pay them a small amount every month, and I just paid a small amount every month that I could afford to pay. And but that sort of hung over me for a lot of years, but eventually managed to clear it off, and it wasn't a huge amount, and I managed. I was actually became reasonably comfortable in terms of I was making a decent sort of amount of money to cover, and my kids had grown up at this stage. My kids were independent; they were looking after themselves. I was just myself and my wife. And we were able to look after ourselves and become sort of comfortable again. So it wasn't a huge issue, but it was quite stressful at the time. And the stress levels sort of managed, they sort of cling on to you. The stress is, you build up the stress in your body, and the stress stays with you. And you're sort of like your energy, your enthusiasm, your energy isn't what it should be, really. And then if you find that other people are getting sick, people are, your family are getting sick, and other people are getting sick, and people that you've gone to school with are dying, and you begin to think, is there more? Is this all there is, or is there more? Is this what's in front of me? And you get a little bit fearful about where you're going to end up in life. And so I guess I was looking for a way out, if you like. I was looking for, is there something more? Is this it, or is there something more? And I was probably always looking for that something more. And I guess when I reflect back on it, I was never going to be satisfied. I was never going to be satisfied with giving up. I mean, giving up really wasn't an option. Really wasn't an option. But at the same time, you feel, life is moving on. I'm getting a bit older. Some people, at 63, some people think about retirement, whereas I was thinking, no, let's start again. So I feel a lot of gratitude for what happened in the last 2 years, because it was a fresh start, fresh opportunity, and it was incredible. So.
Do you feel you are where you're supposed to be this time?
Yeah, I do. I feel life is. I guess I have a great faith, Pete. I have a great belief in life and trust in life, and I guess the journey that I went on, the personal development journey and the spiritual journey. I've read a lot. I've studied a lot. I've been inspired a lot by a lot of people in life, and the more I go through life, the more I believe and trust that something's going to come along. And my faith and my belief would be that there is a purpose, there is a meaning to it all, and that eventually you find it. And for me, I feel that I've really got that meaning, got that purpose now, and got that passion and energy back. And I'm ready to explore a whole new adventure in life now. And so that is part of your faith, part of your belief, and I suppose that's what I believe in now. I believe in that holistic journey.
A while ago, you mentioned there, and through talking about understanding about the meaning of life and the purpose of life. What's your take on it now?
Well, what I've learned is that I guess from the whole holistic approach to life, I've learned that everything is energy, and energy actually doesn't die. Energy just transforms. So if you believe in that, what you believe is that you've got an opportunity to transform that energy and to create your own life, if you like, in terms of you've got something you believe you need to do before you decide to move on to the next world, and you set out with a passion, you set out with a purpose every day, and that's what I believe now. I believe that energy is just transforms, and you can be part of that transformation. You can develop the tools, if you like. You can learn the tools to be involved in that transformation for yourself personally, and for people around you. And that's what I set out to do every day. I set out to transform my own energy every day, to build my own health every day, to build my own sort of world every day, and to create an environment that I can grow in, that I can learn in, that I can be inspired and hopefully maybe inspire somebody else along the way. But certainly I can be inspired with, and that I can create something. And surround yourself with people who've got a similar mindset. And I believe in that culture whereby if you can build a collaboration with people who have got the skills, who have got the energy, who have got the motivation, who have got the passion. Together we can do something incredible. That's what I believe now. And that's why I'm involved in Your Holistic Academy. That's what the whole concept is. Together we can achieve something incredible. And we're building a team. We're basically building a team of like-minded people who've got specialized skill sets. Some really incredible holistic people who've got incredible holistic skill sets, and some incredible business people who've got all the business skill sets. And I'm very fortunate. I feel very, very fortunate that I've surrounded myself and have got the opportunity to be around people who have got this incredible passion for life. So yeah, so it's exciting, Pete. You know?
So what's the mission behind Your Holistic Academy?
So the mission is basically to inspire people, to motivate people, to educate people, and to build a team culture of people who believe in that, you know, it's what I call it Your Holistic Academy. It's not my holistic academy, it's Your Holistic Academy. It's reaching out to people. It's reaching out to people and bringing people together on an adventure of we're going into the health and wellness marketplace. And the health and wellness marketplace is vast. It's trillions and trillions of dollars every year, the health and wellness, the global health and wellness marketplace. So we're going into a marketplace where we can bring expertise, we can bring business expertise, we can bring holistic expertise, and we can build a platform whereby people can be inspired, people can be motivated, people can be educated to I feel very blessed and very grateful for the people that have inspired me. A lot of those people are holistic health people. I feel also very grateful for the business people that inspire me. I'm obviously, you know, I'm involved with the Outstanding Network, and Pat Slattery is my business mentor. I feel inspired by a lot of the people in that network. And I also feel inspired by a lot of the holistic people that I've worked with, and who've obviously stress, Pete, when you have a lot of stress in your life, you got to go find answers, and you got to go find somebody. My personal belief is that the holistic world, it complements the medical world, if you like, in terms of the medical professionals. The holistic professionals and the medical professionals complement each other. That's what I believe. So I would be very fortunate in the people that I've come across, the people that I've met, who do an exceptional job in things like acupuncture, Chinese medicine, Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, massage, all of those. I mean, incredible, incredible skill sets. People who have educated themselves to bring an incredible service to the world. And I've surrounded myself, because my own health, I needed all those people to, you know, for my own personal health. I had so much stress in my life, and the more that I got to meet these people and got to talk to them and got to understand what they did, the more I realized that this is a way of life. I mean, holistic health is a way of life. Holistic health is health and happiness. It's all wrapped up in holistic health for me. So that's my passion now.
What's your hindsight now, looking back, as to what was building up the anxiety? I mean, was it solely around the financial side, or what's your thoughts?
It's I guess for me, it's the two major emotions for me would be love and fear. And for me, those two major emotions, I mean, there's all sorts of emotions, but the two major emotions would be love and fear. And there's a balance between the two. I mean, fear can be your friend, because it stops you from being knocked down across the road or killed or whatever. And I guess fear was my friend for some years, because it kept me alive. Because I managed to stay out of, you know, but fear can also be an enemy, in terms of if you live with fear, it can stop you and can hold you back. Whereas love is obviously a much stronger, healthier emotion, if you like. And love is an empowering, much more obviously empowering. Fear is disempowering. Love is an empowering emotion. I guess I got to the point in my life where I understood the two different emotions, and I embraced love as the one that I was going to put my energy into. And I basically come to be comfortable with the fear and to, I guess, transcend the fear, if you like. Yeah, so that's I can't even remember what the question was.
No, I was curious there, and even like going back, despite having done personal development, you know, you still had to get yourself through these things. I suppose my takeaway from that is that it's not just a personal development. It's not about reading one book and then you're done. You know, and the same with anxiety. It's, you know, it's, or stress or whatever. It's,
Yeah,
it can take a
yeah,
long time to come out. It can take, you
yeah,
know, it's not just a
yeah,
turn the tap and you're done.
yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
softer.
if you build up 20 years of stress in your life, Pete, that is built up in your body, basically. That's built up in your system.
Mm.
That stress goes right through your body, right through every cell of your body. And if you've got 20 years of stress in your body, reading a personal development book is not going to solve that. It's gonna, I mean, it might help, but it's definitely not going to solve it as far as I'm concerned. There's a whole holistic, there's a whole other approach that's needed, and that's where, for me, that's where the holistic professionals do an incredible job. They do an incredible job. A personal development book is great. It's great for the mind, great for the mind. But if you've got 20 years of stress in your body, and you try to shift that with reading a book, good luck to you. I don't think it's going to work for you. I seriously don't. Yeah.
I find it interesting. I mean, traditional therapies, you know, compared to sort of holistic and more modern or alternative therapies, if you put them in the same category, I don't know, I'll ask you. But it's almost like a Tom and Jerry relationship slightly, you know, it never seems to have been that smooth, the relationship between traditional and alternative.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's obviously there's a whole new science now in terms of like quantum physics and psychoneuroimmunology and psychoneurology and epigenetics and all these. I've come across all these new terminologies, if you like, in recent years. So there's a whole new science, and there's a whole new science of quantum mind, quantum reality. It's like, I mean, it's like we're going into we're totally going into a different space here in terms of consciousness and higher consciousness, and the mix between science and spirituality, and that whole world is opening up now, Pete. It's totally opened up, and there's a brand new education for everybody in terms. I mean, like before I got exposed to all this world, I mean, it was just there was basic, you know, the health. I guess the major health modality was you get sick and you go to the doctor, and the doctor gives you a prescription, and you go to the chemist and you get, and that's what sorts you out. Whereas nowadays, I mean, that model has been challenged every day, every single day, and I mean, there's some incredible people in the world who are bringing this whole world of the quantum physics and the all these epigenetics and gene theory and all this stuff. I mean, that's a whole different world now. It's a whole different world. So, I mean, the models of health and well-being are completely changing every single day. And so you have to embrace that. You have to embrace that. And I think the holistic therapists have embraced that. And I think a lot of the medical world are beginning to embrace that as well. So the models are changing all the time. They're changing all the time. So, I mean, for me personally, I feel that I've got almost, I feel I've almost got enough knowledge now that I have my own sort of chemist in my own head. And I can use that one instead of going to the one down the street. That's what I believe, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's what it's all about. I'm curious as well, I suppose, with you know your own journey and going through and that anxiety. And I know you said it's a cumulative effect of a lot of different therapies, but is there any one of the therapies that actually stood out for you that worked for you?
Yeah, well, the my mentor is a Tai Chi master. He's a Tai Chi master, and he's got his own school of training, if you like, around Tai Chi and meditation and Qigong and yoga. And that would be my sort of, I mean, if I was to say to you, you can transform your life in a week, would you go and see this guy? I certainly would. But so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, obviously there's a different path for every single person, and people have got different beliefs. I believe in a certain path for me. That path for me is being led out for me, if you like, in terms of meditation, Tai Chi, massage, yoga, acupuncture, kinesiology. All of those things have been important to me. All those things have been important to me, and a good diet, healthy diet, proper exercise, looking after yourself, a good balance between work and leisure. All of those things are vital to me and important to me, and I basically tend to look after myself and make sure that I give time to look after myself. And I guess I believe in taking personal responsibility for your own health and your own well-being. And the information, for me, the information is out there. There's plenty of opportunity for everybody to find out what works for them. Not everything is going to work for you, but there's plenty of opportunity to find out what works for you. And that, for me, that's an education process as well as a motivational process.
Super interesting. The you are sort of where you are today, obviously, with the Holistic Academy or your Holistic Academy. Talk to us about the inception of that and how you've got to where you are today.
Yeah, well, that came about through a series of conversations. I felt inspired by this shift of my own understanding about energies and my own understanding about the holistic world. And I had been to enough people in the holistic world. I've been to enough therapists. I've been to different retreats. I had studied a lot about the modern sort of science around, the sort of combination of science and spirituality, all of that stuff. I had studied a lot. I had gone to different retreats. I had gone to a lot of therapists, and I just started to feel better and better and better. And then I just got this sort of transformation on this particular retreat. And I came back and I was inspired, I feel like, to share the information. I feel like I just felt blessed in terms of, I was so grateful that I was able to finally get my own health into a great place, and that empowered me, if you like. That health empowered me. That sort of removing all the fear, removing all the stress, removing all that, and having a much more balanced approach to your life. That empowered me to share that with other people, and I set out to do that. And I guess I was inspired by the people over the last 18 months or so. I was inspired by the people that I met on that journey. And that just brought me further and further and deeper into that whole. I also then got inspired by the business obviously Pat was my business mentor. Pat inspired me totally in terms of a business strategy around this. So the combination of the business strategy and the holistic strategy, it just seemed like a perfect match, if you like, if I could put the two together. I had passion for business, and I had a passion for the holistic world. So a series of conversations with business people, a series of conversations with holistic people, and suddenly I just ended up with a concept where put the two together, and you've got the perfect formula for health and happiness and success in all aspects of life. And I feel that we've got so much to offer. We've got a team of people who have inspired me to push it out even further and to build it even bigger and stronger. And I'm working with a team of people. I've got a project manager, Charles O'Connor, who is absolutely inspirational. I've got a financial advisor, Adrian Galler, who's fantastic. I've got a program coordinator, Vivian McKinnon, who's a brilliant holistic therapist. And I've got a guy called Patrick Mercy, who's a life coach and a holistic coach. And I've got Pat as my business mentor. I've got a whole team of people working with me and helping me put this whole thing together. And it's almost like, wow, it's just fantastic. I mean, you just can't go wrong. I mean, it's just the mindset around this is so incredible that it's just a brilliant feeling around it,
And what's your big goal for your holistic academy?
It's to bring that energy, if you like, bring that passion, and bring people together on that platform, and basically to create an inspiring platform for people to participate in. And that opportunity, if you like, is there for people to come together, to collaborate, to let's build a health and wellness platform, if you like, which we can bring right into the health and wellness marketplace. And we have a global marketplace we're going into. Obviously, I want to make a few quid as well, but the motivation is, I guess for me, Pete, the motivation is health and happiness. And I think that's probably the motivation that is central to most people's lives, really, if they look carefully at their life. I mean, health and happiness, if those two ingredients are there, most other things take care of themselves then.
It's absolutely, to get that mix. And I think, you're perfectly positioned, or it seems you're perfectly positioned, because you've been through that, you've held the stress, you've had occurrences in your life that have had a significant impact.
Yeah.
And now you're realizing.
Yeah, and it's almost like the journey you mentioned earlier, Pete. Is there sort of a meaning that you've derived out of all your experiences? And I think life is a combination of for people. I mean, everybody's journey is going to be different. I mean, everybody's journey is different. Everybody's got a different, people are in a different place in life. But ultimately, we all end up in the same place. And ultimately, I think we're all human beings who are looking for the same two things, health and happiness. I think that's the motivation factor probably for everybody eventually. And everybody's got their own idea of what that means for them and how to get there. And I mean, how to get there is going to be different for everybody. I mean, there's people who are geniuses in terms of maybe art or music or, but the passion for doing what you do and what you love to do is going to get you there. And for me, the passion is to combine the holistic and the business. And for me, that's my passion. And that has come out of my experience of life. That's where I come from. I come from the business world. I come from and now I've sort of embraced the energetic and the holistic world. So my life experience has brought me to this point. And so yeah, it's like it's almost like that journey was led out for you almost. Yeah.
I'm curious there. Can you just you talked about so bioenergy was something there you did
Yeah.
sort of previous to this. Can you give us a quick summary and what that entailed?
So I mean, the energy. It's like if you look at your physical body, if you like, and all the different layers to your being. You've got your physical layer, obviously. You've got your mental layer, emotional layer, spiritual layer, energetic layer. So those are all layers, if you like, of the. If you look at your the holistic picture, you're looking at all those different layers. And bioenergy would be one of the alternative health therapies that embraces and works on all those different layers of your being. So you're not just working on the physical layer, you're working on the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and the energetic. So bioenergy is a therapy, an alternative health therapy that addresses all those layers, if you like. And you're working with all the different layers of your being and your existence. And it's a specific, and a lot of the therapies, holistic therapies, work on the same principles of energy and energy movement, the flow of energy and balance. And so they're all essentially, for me, they're all different holistic therapies, but the principles behind most of them are pretty much similar in terms of working on all the different layers of your energy body, if you like. Yeah.
And that energy, is it something, do you feel it? Do you see it? What way did you?
Yeah, I would have felt it. Initially, I would have felt it. I would have, like the guy who taught me bioenergy, I mean, literally, I would stand in the middle of a room, Pete, and he would start working on me. And literally, he could pull me across the room without touching me. And literally, that's what was happening. And he could bend me all directions. I would be bent in all directions, and I wouldn't be in control. He would be in control of that. And it was very powerful, and it was a real like, how the hell is he doing this? But it was a real feeling of, wow, there's something really dramatic happened here with my body, and I'm feeling it. I'm really feeling it. And I started to understand it. I started to learn a bit about it. I started to get into it a little bit and try and understand what was happening. It can be very sort of, depends where you're coming from in life. It can be difficult to comprehend. I mean, your basic education doesn't really prepare you for this. It can be quite specific, and it can be quite sort of unique. And some of these people have trained for years and years and years and years to develop these skill sets. So yeah, for me it was quite profound, and but there was a strong feeling that this was real, and this was moving me. This energy was moving me. And I guess that was the start of the journey for me back then, 20 years ago. And it's probably taken me 20 years to really understand it. And I don't want to go too deep into it because it is quite profound, but it's also quite normal as well. So it depends on where you're coming from. I mean, probably back at the time when I started first, we set out to sort of actually practice this therapy. People were sort of very skeptical, and some people probably are still very skeptical. But it's quite normal now as well, in terms of there's so many different therapies, there's so many different holistic practitioners, and there's so many great complementary therapies out there that have got a fantastic impact. And yeah, so I'm lucky to be working with those people.
It does feel at the moment there's a real resurgence of interest in sort of holistic therapies, and a lot of people, for whatever reason, or do you have a concept as to why it's become so popular? And
yeah, I mean, I guess there's an acceptance. I mean, for example, if you take something like yoga, for example, yoga probably, I mean, 20 years ago, probably yoga, 30 years ago anyway, yoga would have been seen as like I mean, it wasn't common. It wasn't common. Like, and now it's busy. You know, there's. I mean, I live here in Maynooth in County Kildare, and I guess there could be 20 yoga practitioners here in the town. It's every day. Meditation back 20 years ago probably was maybe frowned on in a lot of societies. Today it's commonplace. Tai Chi is one of my favorites. I mean, that's becoming almost commonplace as well. Maybe not as much as yoga, but it's quite common. Acupuncture is quite common now. So there's been I mean, the fact is that these therapies work. The fact is that this is complementary. It's brilliant. There's brilliant therapists out there. So there is an awareness, if you like. There's an awareness that all of these therapies can be beneficial, and people are finding more and more that they're finding more and more success and more specialist expertise with all these therapies now. So the idea that, for me, the idea that you get yourself sick and then you go to the doctor and then you go to the chemist, for me, that idea is almost old-fashioned now. For me, that's like, I mean, why would you do that? Why not just, look after yourself? Go to the yoga, go to the Tai Chi, go to the massage, go to the acupuncture, and maintain. It's like, I mean, somebody described this recently, I think, on a podcast, that if you were a motor car and you want to maintain that motor car, you bring it to the garage and you get it serviced every 6 months or something, or 3 months. Because if you don't get it serviced every 3 months or 6 months, you know what's going to happen. It's going to break down. So the physical body, I mean, are you going to wait for it to break down and then go to the doctor? Or are you going to look after it and maintain it and go to your local therapist or your local yoga teacher or your local acupuncturist and get yourself some really high quality maintenance, if you like, call it, for the sake of a better word, call it maintenance? Or are you going to wait till you get sick and then go to the doctor and then go to the chemist? It's a choice, really, isn't it? When you think about it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's I think the whole mindset. Well, it feels that the whole mindset is changed, and now. But not only that, there's a change in general in people sort of being more attuned to how they feel, their energy, what's going on, and stress, all the sort of the mental illnesses, and the everything else has become much more spoken about.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's a much greater awareness, Peter, around this now, and there's also obviously with the internet and the global society we're living in. There's, I mean, education and knowledge at your fingertips. I mean, there's no really reason why you wouldn't have that knowledge and have that education, have that information about all these different things. And I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of information about all of these different therapies, and people can make up their own mind. But there's no excuse really for not having the information. I mean, the information is at your fingertips about all of these therapies. And there's extensive research and extensive materials written about all of these different therapies. So yeah, so for me, it's a simple choice, really. Take personal responsibility for your own health and wellness.
Absolutely. Bit of a change of tack here, but what's a guilty pleasure for you, John?
A guilty pleasure. I don't have any guilt in my life, Pete. Thank God I have no guilt anymore. I had loads of guilt for years. But so guilty, no guilty pleasures. My pleasure is health and happiness and looking after myself and loving life and having a passion for life. That's my pleasure. And that's a beautiful place to be in, and just really loving life and spending time with people who've got a brilliant mindset, spending time with people who've got brilliant energy, spending time with people who've got brilliant ambitions and passion. is my, I guess that's my pleasure, if you like. And being around that sort of environment, and not allow myself to go back into the old places where I was fearful and irritated and frustrated and angry and all that stuff. I mean, all that stuff was part of my life for long enough. So it's time to move into a different space, you know.
Do you do you monitor yourself? Do you have to keep a track of that? And
Oh, absolutely, Pete. I have a certain, I guess, a certain discipline around watching my own personal space all the time, watching out for how my mind is. I feed my mind every day with positive stuff. I feed my body every day with healthy stuff in terms of diet and nutrition. I exercise my body every day in terms of, and I spend time with brilliant people all the time, and I seek out those people, and I seek out the information, and I learn. I'm a student of life all the time. I'm constantly learning. I'm spending time around people who motivate me and inspire me, and that's a deliberate decision to spend my time there and to seek out that environment, and not to because every thought counts. Every single thought counts. Everything you do counts, you know, and you have the opportunity to take responsibility for all of that, you know. And that's what I do.
love it. So tell me, what's a big goal for you, or what's a bucket list goal for you?
Oh, Peter, I've got so many ambitions now. I mean, I feel as if I'm only just starting again, you know. Like I said, I've had a lot of opportunities in life to do stuff, and I've now got an opportunity to do something and to spend time with incredible people, and to pursue all sorts of passions, all sorts of goals, all sorts of ambitions. There's no limits. There is absolutely no limits. It's just an unlimited, and the only limits are the ones you place on yourself. So I'm sort of open myself to accepting whatever comes, and to just to flow with life, and to love every day and love every minute of it, and give myself the opportunity to do all sorts of amazing things. So yeah, it's like just love life. That's if there's two words I would say to you, love life.
Love that. It's a great way to be. I was gonna say, because also I was gonna say, do you live by an ethos or a mantra, or that's
Yeah,
maybe it, isn't?
yeah, we had. Well, I guess that is actually my mantra. That's my number one. I have all sorts of different affirmations, and gratitude would be a big one for me. Really grateful for life, and grateful for the opportunities, grateful for the learnings, for the people, for the experiences, for family, for health, for opportunities, for the people I get to work with, the things I get to do. Grateful for all of that, and grateful for the opportunity to really start again, and set out to like, this is a whole new adventure for me, and it's only starting, and so excited about that as well, in terms of I'm so grateful for the opportunity to do it, and yeah, so just yeah, I guess, but yeah, love life would be my major mantra in life, would be love life. Thank God for the opportunity. Yeah.
If I was to say, what's your fire in the belly?
It's that passion, Pete. It's just a passion. It's sheer passion for, and joy, and thank God for every day, and wake up every morning, you're still breathing, and be grateful for it, and think, wow, I mean, how's that happening? I mean, I don't know how many trillions of cells are working, and you wake up and they're all working, and they're all working away there, and you're healthy, and you're happy, and you've got energy, and you've got passion, you've got enthusiasm, and half the time you don't know where it's coming from, and if you were to go into it all, I mean, who the hell knows? I mean, how it all works. I mean, your heart's working, your liver's working, your kidneys are working. I mean, things you never even heard of before are still working. And you've got all this energy flowing through your body every day, and it's just all working. You know, and obviously there's a lot of people living a different type of life, and so you got to be profoundly grateful if you've got that health. You know, got to be profoundly grateful for that.
Love it. John, tell us, you know, where can people find out more? How can they get in contact?
Yeah, so Your Holistic Academy, yourholisticacademy.com. We're on Facebook, we're on social media. Our website is actually going live next week. We've just got one page up there at the moment where people can join, but we're inviting people to join. We're going to be doing amazing stuff right across the holistic sector. We're going to be supporting all types of holistic people, and we've got a lot of brilliant business people on the platform. We're going to be offering all sorts of services to the holistic world. So yourholisticacademy.com. We're on Facebook, social media, all across social media, and we are in business, and we are welcoming people to come and join us and reach out to us. And we might even have a few podcasters on the platform as well, Pete. So.
That's it. That's it. That's what it's all about. You know, it's great. It's a great network to have, and it's great to have it there as a go-to for people. So
yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
John, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you for your time, and yeah, best of luck with.
It's been great chat, and I don't know how long we talked for, but it's been fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
No problem, John. Thank you. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, Pat. All right, peace. Thanks.